I've got two little canny devices here that might just up your game to a whole new level. I've got the young apprentice in the house. He is training up to be the next good golf coaching for the doggy world. I've got two wedges here that I believe could be so influential to changing the way you feel about your lower half working and in an attempt to mobilize how you rotate in your golf swing. With the beauty of these little wedges, and I'm going to pop the link in the descriptions below for you to get them. Most of us have played the game thinking about weight and transfer in two different directions. First of all, we've believed that when we set up to the golf ball, the toes of the feet should be heavily loaded. And a lot of, loves the game, a lot of people have inspired you to think about standing there like you're a goalkeeper ready to receive a football. The reality is this golf club is trying to pull itself towards Barney, my young one-year-old Cocker Spaniel. As we swing through the golf shot, that club is trying to pull itself in that direction. If I was going to stand on these wedges and then someone said to me, now try to rebalance the golf club and try to oppose that direction, the last place I would be wanting to stand is on the toes of my feet. The wedges give us an opportunity to sense how influential pressure is through the feet from a heel to toe bias. So now all of a sudden I have the wedges tipped back in the opposite direction. When I now have the golf club out in front of me, all of a sudden I feel like I could activate my glutes and I could actually start to create a force back in the opposite direction. This is maybe your one and only time that you're going to come on the TV here. So as I start to now feel a different sensation at address, as I start to move the golf club around me, because the wedges are trying to push the force back into, most notably, my left heel through strike, and I'm just going to back up from Barney here, so that when I start to swing the golf club through here, the weight and the force of the wedge starts to really pull me into my left heel. And when it starts to pull me into my left heel, it really starts to allow me to counter that and start to feel more onto my right shoulder. If I was to flip this wedge around and actually point it now towards Barney, and I try to do exactly the same thing, I now swing through and I'm on the toes of my feet, you can see that my upper body would need to start to rebalance. So the pressures through the toe and the heel are crucial when we come to thinking about the opposition that the golf club and our body must have on each other. And I've done a few videos just recently where people clearly see me holding posture down through strike. Now I'm getting messages saying, do you need to have your clubs extra flat? Well, a lot of the time, when people replace the club back to setup, it's so different to what they've usually done that they need their lies adjusted to be more upright because they're so used to having early extension. And this profile of the wedge, when it's slanted in the frontal plane, this plane, as opposed to the wedges being used on the sideways plane, which is another video coming at you, stay tuned for that. When you're dealing with these wedges on this plane, you will really start to understand how the rotation of the pelvis is either mobilized or immobilized by the balance going through your feet from a heel to toe perspective. And that's crucial. So, I'm going to stand here and hopefully Barney plays ball and stands there and watches and doesn't get too involved here. So I'm going to put the wedges so that they're sloping towards the golf ball. And you can immediately see that if I was to get my preference of club shot, excuse me, you're not supposed to do that. Thank you. Barney, back on your bed. So we now put the golf ball, and my preference, Barney, Barney, sit, sit, good boy. So I now get the preference of my spine angle and my club shaft at 90 degrees to each other. You can see all of a sudden I'm going to be awfully off balance when I hit the golf shot. However, if I now wheeled in a golf ball and I start to shift the force through my feet in a different direction, all of a sudden, attaining my desire of 90 degrees between shaft and spine is all of a sudden very, very different. And now I'm able to start to use my body in a slightly different profile. It allows, Barney, sit, good boy. It now starts to allow me to use my feet in a different profile and allows me to feel like I can hold some posture. And this is just simply from a heel to toe bias. These are exceptional training aids. Again, another cheap training aid that, if you're tired of paying too much for premium leather golf gloves, do head over and check out my channel sponsor, GX Golf Gloves. These gloves are trusted by elite, amateurs and tour players alike. Use my code GOODCOACHING to receive 10% on your next order. We'll give you some seriously different perceptions of how you want to use your feet to get rid of some early extension, steep back swings, poor strikes. They'll make a huge difference. Apply them with the slope running away from the golf ball as placed here. Then after you've hit half a dozen shots or so with them as they were, when you stand back onto the mat, all of a sudden the proprioception of what you're feeling through your feet will be incredibly different. It will really, lucky again, it will really change the way you feel your belt downwards activate and mobilize. And you might just start to feel how your arms, your shoulders and your neck start to respond for the better. Barney and I want to say a big thanks for you checking out this content. And I think you'll find, Barney, that's good coaching.